In our opening sequence, we do not represent a wide range of social groups and are in fact only limited to males, females, teenagers, and middle-aged people. However, the stereotypes of these social groups were taken in consideration in the planning of our film. The first social group you're introduced to is a teenage girl. We will firstly be focusing on her gender. The representations of this girl juxtapose themselves throughout the sequence, enabling the audience to make their own decisions on her and causing them to have varying opinions. For example, she is wearing both black and white. The two colours oppose each other and their meanings. Whilst white has connotations of innocence, peace, and cleanliness, black has connotations of evil, death, and the unknown. The fact that the girl's clothes are ripped and ruined, however, leads the audience to believe that the girl is innocent because she is a victim of some sort of attack, whilst the shadow in black connotation of death is still apparent. In addition, the clothing she is wearing is all quite tight. Although she's not revealing much skin other than her arms and face, they portray her as perhaps more hyper-feminine, sexualized, heterosexual identity than previously assumed. However, the lack of makeup contrasts this and again further leads the audience to assume that she was innocent and naive. In our audience feedback, it was evident that the majority of people picked up more on the lack of makeup and innocence of our character, as 91% of Poll Daddy surveyors responded that they felt sympathy for her character. In regards to her age, there is a shot where her mother is calling her phone. Although we, as the audience, do not know why her mum is calling her, we assume it is because she is worried about her daughter's safety and well-being. This is a stereotype of teenage girls in today's society because they are more closely watched and looked after by parents and society, as they are seen as more in danger and vulnerable. This is also evident in TV dramas such as The Vampire Diaries, where characters such as Elena Gilbert are closely protected by all her peers. However, other popular teenage dramas such as Skins presents teenage girls such as Effie as problematic. They are presented as hypersexualized party animals that abuse alcohol and drugs for fun. Although this impression was not given through our own character, it could be suggested through the empty alcohol bottles present in one shot, therefore allowing the character to fit in with the stereotype of underage alcohol and abuse and little care for the future. In comparison, the boy is presented in an exceedingly contrasting manner. He is dressed in black, which has connotations of danger, and furthermore is wearing a hoodie, which suggests he is gang affiliated as the setting is in an urban area. This is stereotypical for teenage boys within the media, for example, the representation of teenagers within the film Kidulthood. Research into the representation of teenage boys within the media shows that they are presented negatively. Figures show that more than half of the stories about teenage boys in national and regional papers in the past year are about crime. The word most commonly used to describe them was yobs, which was used 591 times, and followed by thugs, which was used 254 times. We highlighted this stereotype by dressing our boy in a hoodie and presenting him in an interrogation room, being questioned by a police officer, suggesting he was involved in crime. As a result, 82% of our Poll Daddy surveyors said they felt suspicious of the male character, which further relates to the gender and age stereotypes of teenage boys within inner cities. The only other character presented in the opening sequence is the police officer. His character is already stereotypical of middle-aged white men, as he is the person in power during his scene and clearly tries to assert his authority throughout. His temperament comes across as harsh, but in the end, he tries to be more understanding and manipulative. This links with other male characters in the media which are presented as in control, dominant and powerful. For example, Ari Gold in Entourage is represented as powerful within his office. He has control over his peers and is dominant in his scenes, clear in the clip. Contrarily, there was an absence of people of colour throughout the opening sequence, highlighting the absence of minority ethnic groups within the media. Although, when black people are presented within the news and television, they are stereotypically presented as criminals, poor or as entertainers. Asian people, however, are presented as either smart, strict and hardworking, or as poor in low-end jobs and inferior. Although the criminal aspect is presented in our opening sequence, it is not carried out for this character throughout the whole film. None of the other stereotypes were operant in the opening sequence, resulting in the lack of ethnic minorities.